Yo, Ronin Man. Dude, I want to talk about sometimes, like in life, it's almost like there's I don't believe in God or anything, but sometimes there's things in life that are just insane where you can't, you're incapable of helping yourself. And somebody comes along or a situation comes along that's exactly what you need at that moment. Just right there, like perfect. And it like doesn't make any sense of all the people in the fucking world, you know? I'm over at a friend of mine's house. I'm in Newport Beach. This is a wetlands area, so we're gonna see some water down here. It's pretty neat. I like this area. I was walking around here, a lot of birds and shit. This is awesome, man. We're in Newport fucking Beach, man. This is like big time money. Rolls Royces. Used to have the #1 most Rolls Royces per people in the whole world. And then you got this. And I know a guy who lives like half mile away from here, kilometer. He fucking doesn't even know about this. He doesn't even know. Crazy. So funny how life is. You could just miss the best things. But so sometimes, you know, I talk a lot about when I'm talking about like improving your life. It's often like not macho, but like you got to do it, right? You know what I mean? You got to make a decision. You got to follow through. You got to this. You got to that. And it's like your own. You something coming from you, your own energy, right? But this one, sometimes, life just comes along and fucking just gives you exactly what you need, even though you don't deserve it or weren't even like looking for it or whatever, didn't even know what you're looking for. It's like you just get, if you're in a bad situation, you get set free. It reminds me of an old situation for me, was when I was in China and I had a business and I was in a very bad relationship. You guys know my situation, my stories, right? So I've always got one and then other ones on the side, but either way I had this one and it was a really bad situation. Everybody always says that girls are so sensitive and they're so loving. Oh man, so many girls aren't. So many girls don't even know how to fucking kiss. You know what I mean? Even if they like dress sexy and everything, they're like not sensual at all. Either way, this was like that. And I was like, every minute I was with her, and you know, it was like a waste of my. It was a waste of my energy. It was a waste of my mind. It was a waste of my life. Like, because I'm a very sensual person. Like, I love to get deep and shit. You know, you probably noticed that on the videos, right? And like deep in friendship, deep in whatever. I want to figure shit out. Like, I'm not the kind of guy who's afraid of going deep and figuring shit out and seeing the dark side of myself or, you know, whatever. It's like, fuck, bring it on, man. Bring it fucking on. There was a fire here. Look at this. Probably somebody camping out here. It's pretty neat. Interesting. Fires are interesting. They're necessary, you know? So funny, everybody thinks they're bad. Hey, they're totally necessary. Got to clean out the old weeds, you know? And speaking of cleaning out the old weeds, man, there's a quote in the AA book. It's something like, I don't remember exactly what it is, but it's like the higher power helps you when you can't help yourself. And you know, I think that's whether there is a higher power, I don't think there is, but that concept is still very fucking true. Is that sometimes in life it just doesn't make any sense. You're like trapped and then someone lets you go. You know what I mean? Like your head is in the lion's den. And so much is happening around you that you can't even understand what you're feeling, right? You know, it takes time to get away from a situation until you realize what you were going through. At least for me. I'm not a person that can just immediately know what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, what's going on, how I feel about things. Like, it's just too complicated for me. I can't, no way. I feel like, I can feel like a hot or cold, good or bad, right or wrong kind of feeling. But that's it. The details, I can't put the pieces together. So what I love to do is to get away, and then that gives you the time where I can process details. And then I can start to say, wait, do I want to be in this situation? Like, do I want to be treated like that? is this what I was born for? Like, is this what my life is supposed to be? Are these the interactions that a man like me should be having? And so when I'm not in a good situation, like this one in China, I was in a bad situation. And the thing is that my logic was beating out my mind, my heart. My logic was, I had a business with this girl, and I would have left her long before that. I wouldn't have even been with her at all. But the thing is, the business kept me with her because I had this business, and in China, the business is always in the Chinese person's name, unless you're like Procter & Gamble or something. But if you're just a regular guy, there's no way it's going to be in your name. It's always in the Chinese girl's name. And so they can steal it, and there's not much legal protection, so they can put you in a bad situation. I don't mean this to be negative about anything. The world is often like this, you guys. Most of the world's unprotected. Legal system doesn't even exist. It came from the UK. The British system, thank God the US got it. But either way, so when I stayed, so like your fucking mind, your fucking soul is way more important than money. Okay? If you don't fucking know that, you gotta fucking hear it. Because you get confused in life because you think, everybody else wants money, everybody else wants things. Like, it must be important, right? Right? It must be, right? I must care about this. Maybe if I don't have this, what's going to happen? Like, the future, you start just thinking. There's a lot of ways to trick yourself into doing stuff you don't want to do. Because when you step back and you look at yourself and you look at what you really want, it's often very different from what you're chasing blindly. And so either way, when you're in a relationship or when you're with somebody, then it gets really complicated because the other person, their wants and needs become yours. As a human being, you are ping off each other. So you don't even realize it, but you ping off each other. That's what your parents tell you when you're in high school or whatever. Don't hang around bad kids because that is going to ping off you. You're going to become like them. And that's one of the biggest things in life is you have to make sure that you're around people that are bringing good things to you. And that's what I love about the internet, is because instead of just choosing the guy at the bar next to me or the guy, at the store, or the guy who, whatever, is next to me for whatever reason, I can choose, I can look online, I can look for somebody who I really, their thinking is like creative, it's unique, and it's like I'm grooving with it, I'm learning, I'm not like hearing the same thing over and over, right? So the internet is amazing for that. And also too, another amazing thing about the internet is this podcast, Ronin Man. I put myself out there, right? I put myself out there to you guys. And then you guys, people that think similarly, come to me. And it's fucking amazing. You guys are amazing. Every time I get an email, I hear your story, I'm like, oh man, holy shit, how would I find this guy any other way? The only way is by sharing honestly and putting it out there in public. And then it's kind of like a what do you call it? It's like honey or whatever, and the bees come, right? So you're putting it out there on the internet, right? And then other people are getting that, and then they are grooving off that, right? And then they're coming to you, and then the two of you create more shit together because now you got two people who are just completely different ecosystems, almost like two fish, or two plants or whatever that evolved in totally different environments. Now they're together, right? And then all kinds of interesting things happen, right? New ideas happen, new fucking, collaboration, even like disagreements that create, that uncover mistakes or, misunderstandings or things that were maybe not well thought through or taken for granted, or just taking an idea and just going fucking deep in it, like realizing where that idea goes. Like, if you do this, then you go here, then you go here, then you go there, you fucking end up there. And it's like, oh my God, you're right, and then when you test it out, right, you don't just take your word for it, but that's the thing that's what I love about this whole thing. So back to my spiritual experience is, if you look at this is what I love about literature. I hated reading when I was young, you guys. So if you listen to this and you're like, oh, he was a reader, he's a fucking book guy. Dude, I was the fucking farthest thing from a book guy. Anybody that knows me when I was a kid, they fucking cannot believe I can even read almost, you know what I mean? I was so into physical things. I did not give a fuck about books. My sister read books. I did not give a fuck. I didn't want to read any books. I thought they're boring as fuck. I only went through one phase where I liked reading a lot, was in 3rd or 4th grade, when they gave us these gold stars for reading books. And for some reason, I got really into it that year. Read a ton of books. But generally, you know, it wasn't my thing, right? But now, man, I see the deep truths are in there, right? So what this concept is, it goes from the book, you know, the Odyssey, right? So, and let's see. So basically, Odysseus, right? He wants to hear, this is a fucking great story for you guys. He wants to hear the sirens' song. Okay, so he's on a boat, and he knows that he's going into this area where there's going to be these women, basically mermaids, and they're going to be singing this song. And he knows that when he hears the woman's song, he will not be able to think rationally. But the thing is, the women are beautiful, and they're singing a beautiful, beautiful song, but they're leading him to his death. Because when he jumps off the boat, then he gets killed, or drowns, or whatever. He dies. And so he has to avoid being what do you call it, like mesmerized by this thing. So, but he knows he can't. Okay, so what he does is he tells his crew, he says, okay, look, we're gonna go this way, tie me to the mast, and then no matter what I say, don't let me out. And then they take off in that direction. He says, no matter what my directions, because he's the captain, right? He said, no matter what directions I give you, do not turn the ship around, right? Just fucking keep going the same way, right? Do not fucking turn around, and do not untie me, no matter what I say. I can fire you, I can want to kill you, you know, whatever I say, just fucking let me sit here. And he wants to hear that siren song, and he wants to be like lured to his death without dying, and he plans it out in advance. And I think that story is the story of man and women. When a man gets in a relationship with a woman, the woman is more powerful than the man in a relationship. Men don't have a fucking chance against a woman emotionally. There's not a chance. So if you think you're stronger than a woman emotionally, you're out of your fucking mind. Oh my God, I don't know what planet, you know, like that thinking is from another fucking planet. No, the reason why would, I mean, women always win in relationships, always. And I don't mean this like in any negative way. It's just the way it is. It's just like men tend to be taller. You know, men tend to have stronger upper bodies. Women win emotionally. And so the one of the keys to life is not to think you're so fucking macho. It's to realize that you're fucking weak as fuck, right? And this is what you learn when you study any kind of fighting, is you think you're all macho in your street fight because you won them all, right? And then you realize that one guy with one fucking punch to your throat, you know, eyes, throat, boom, you can't breathe, you're toast. You're at his mercy. He throws you on the ground, your head bounces off the concrete, brain damage, you know, he stomps you, you're fucking dead. And it happens super easy. No, you don't need a gun, you don't need a knife. And so part of, you know, becoming a good fighter is that you realize how weak you are. And that one little thing in the right part of your body. You know, one of my friends had some advanced training, and I had him teach me if I wanted to kill a guy with my hands, what should I do? And he taught me exactly what to do. And that I kind of hold that in my mind. It's like, I know what I would do exactly. And I've practiced it a lot. And I would never use it unless it was like absolute death my way. It would have to be. There's no way. It's not, I wouldn't use this in a fight. No fucking way. But is also at the same time, I know I'm so fucking weak, right? Whoa, human beings are weak. Human beings are weak, right? Especially guys, right? So you're kind of like this strong person who has a huge weakness. And that weakness is the emotions. And women evolved totally differently than men. You know, taking care of babies, having to get them to eat, having to protect them. You know, obviously there was no hotels, there was no packaged food. It was like serious scarcity, you know. And I love these kind of places, by the way. I grew up as a kid. I went to this place called Moonland, and we would ride bikes, and I just miss it so much. Moonland, and this is just the exact same thing, right? In fact, this is even better than Moonland. Come to think of it, they got some better jumps here. Look at that. So you jump up there, boom, come down here, whoosh, bam, down there, boom, and then around that. Holy fuck, this is beautiful. I love this kind of shit. My friend, when I was a kid, we were riding in Moonland, and he jumped, and there was a screw on his handlebars, and his dad had welded it on there, and his mom had divorced him, so she was single mom, and so the screw had gotten rusty, and the light had come off, so there was a screw on his handlebars. He flew over the handlebars. I was right with him, and then it fucking ripped his nutsack open, completely open. His ball was hanging down like on the little, looks like a little plastic thing holding it on. I had to ride him back on my bike to his mom's house and then take him to the hospital. I never asked him if he could, if it influenced his sex or anything. We were pretty young, we were in junior high. But either way, okay, there's a Moonland story. God, I miss Moonland. I'm glad there's still Moonlands out there, you know? Total Moonland here. I love these kind of fucking trails here. Little secret little trail. Where the fuck does that go, right? Where does that go? Definitely snakes out here today. It's hot. It is a fucking nice hot day. Beautiful, beautiful Southern California day. And so what Odysseus did that was so smart is that he knew he was weak. See? And he planned for it. So he tied himself down. He told everybody. He made very clear instructions. And thank God they listened, right? If they would have let him loose, he would have gone and died. And I think when it comes to relationships, that story is all about relationships. When a man gives in, moves in with a woman, and starts to take on her values, starts to live the life that she's living, essentially. Because that's what happens. See, when someone is stronger emotionally, it means they can control the other person. So the other person slowly lets go of themselves. And this is the biggest problem with marriage. Huge, huge problem. It's not about what everybody talks about, like evil, you know, like evil girls or anything. It's not really. Women are very much stronger emotionally. And so they're going to get you to do their bidding, essentially. And you're going to slowly give up parts of yourself, one by one. And the thing is, it's like this invisible fucking thing. It happens. It really is like the frog in water. The frog's in the water heats up slowly, slowly. First it feels good, and then it starts to get too hot. By then he doesn't even realize it. And that story is a great story, because that is how living with a girl is. When you move in with a girl, you're putting yourself in a situation where there's like no outside help anymore. Like Odysseus had his crew, right? His crew was around him, and they were going to protect him, right? They're like, hey, you know, we will protect you from the sirens, right? And we'll also allow you to go on your journey, because he didn't just want to pass the sirens and miss them. He wanted to like enjoy the sirens. He wanted to be lured by the sirens. And I think every man likes that. Every man, we love it. We love being lured by the sirens, you know? Where it's like, fuck, they're just luring us in, you know, deeper and deeper, you know, and we're like trying to fight it, right? I think it's something inside, guys. Maybe it's just I think it depends on where you're at in life, but it's for sure, like when you have a high drive and high testosterone, I think that desire to go in the fucking lion's den, just stick your head in the fucking mouth, right? Get right in there. And then what I think is a big mistake in life is that you are in the Odysseus situation. So a breakup, okay, can absolutely destroy a guy. Like I've talked about this before, but my best friend growing up, after his wife left him and she fucked another guy, right? And it really hurt him, because he was young, he was like 20 something, 23, 24, I don't remember what it was when she finally left him, but when she left him, it fucked him up so bad. And he was for 10 years, he had like all these imaginary problems. He had these like imaginary fucking problems, right? Where he had this like $20,000 bed, you know, where he he thought he had back problems, and he thought he would hang upside down, and he would go to the doctor all the time, and the doctor would tell him, like, there's nothing wrong with you, you know. But it all stemmed from his here's a little fishing hole, which is pretty cool. I see guys fishing here all the time. Can you imagine that? In Newport Beach. Newport fucking Beach. If you don't know Newport Beach, it's like Monaco or something. I mean, it's big money, right? Big money beach area, and you got this wetlands right in the middle. You know, you just got to find these things in life, you know. This is a piece every time I come out here every morning. Today I'm late because I had to do some stuff, but it's afternoon now right now. But okay, so let me get back to my train of thought. So if you're married, if you live with a woman, okay, what is happening to you? You probably, even if it's happened to you before and you figured it out, you can't understand the complex reality that you're in. It's kind of like when you're taking a mushroom trip or something. It's like you're being surrounded by fucking space wolves and shit. You know, you're going down these holes. Everything is surrounding you. It's like it's an immersive experience, right? And that's the same with a relationship. When you live with a girl, it's like you're in the middle of this thing, and you can't get out. And every day, like, things happen, like little things happen. She does things. You're trying to figure it out. Maybe she's angry at you. Next thing you know, she's complimenting you, and then she's complimenting you on the thing that she was angry about, and then, you know, you say you do something, and then it's not as she wants, and then you do this, and when you meet her, she likes this, and then later she likes this, and everything is very, very confusing, and everything is very shifting, you know? It's like shifting, man. And then you're just like, what's going on? And then you're like, oh, it must be me, you know, what's going on? You know, you're like lost in this thing. And meanwhile, she's not lost at all. She's completely confident. This is the kind of situation that women are very good at. They're very comfortable. You know, it's like, okay, shifting emotions, shifting realities, everything just moving around, you know, and then, you know, they can use it to their advantage. Men cannot do this. Men cannot do this. And I think even living with a woman is really putting yourself at risk. I would say if you're going to do one thing, like there's different levels of independence, right? One of them is to never go with any girls, like what do they call it? Incel. I think this is a very bad idea. Very bad idea. It's bad for your soul, man. You need to learn as a man about things, about stuff. You need to challenge yourself. You know, that's fucking important, you guys. And it's just easy to complain about stuff when you're just like lost in this fucking, you know, single man's world. You know, when you get out there and when you collaborate, you know, with other people, whether they're girls or guys or whatever, this is what causes you to grow and causes you to see other things. That's why kids that have a lot of brothers and sisters tend to be more socially adept, because they've been through, you know, they had to share things, they've had to fight, they've had to agree, they've had to, you know, do all these different things that you have to do as you deal with other human beings, right? And it's something that human beings like, you know. So the idea that, oh, I don't need human beings, that is fucked, you guys. That is the dumbest idea. I know it sounds good, but it is the dumbest idea. So then you have that. Then you have people who date once in a while, get into relationships, right? Now those guys are in serious danger of, in fact, they're pretty much fucked, because the woman is going to win. They got one woman, and that's it. And they don't have any experience. The woman is going to win, and she's going to take everything, and he's going to end up a completely different person, regretting it, and then she'll leave him and all that. So that's a guy who dates on a regular dating thing, right? Dating, right? Dating is like, you know, take her out to dinner, you know, you compliment her, you fucking pay for everything, you go to the movies, you know, you can't fuck on the first date, you know, this is dating, right? So that's what I'm talking about when I say dating. Then you have guys who are more, you know, pickup. They're meeting girls, they're confident that they can meet new people. And I know a lot of MGTOWs are making fun of pickup artists, and I want you to understand this, that it's a skill that is good for a man. It's good to have that skill. It's good to have the skill. It's the same skill as when you do sales, because, you know, when you're doing sales and cold calling, you know, you want to find new clients, right? No one gives them to you. You got to go fucking find them. And that gives you confidence when you go out there. You start calling people, cold calling, and you find, you know, you meet clients and you get a lot of disappointment, and then finally, you know, you almost get a sale, and you know, and then you find out why it didn't go through, and then you realize that what they're saying are objections, and then you learn how to deal with objections, and And then you realize there's all these objections, you make a list, and then you got a pitch and you have your thing down, you got your elevator pitch, and then you got your deep understanding of what happens technically so that you can close the deal, not just present it. If you're selling something complex, right? And then you finally get the deal, and then you have a friend. The client very often is a friend once you've sold them something, because now you're helping them to implement it, you're helping them to solve their problem, whatever that was. And so it's the same thing with pickup, is like you have control. The guys who do pickup, they have control of who's around. So they also have a choice of who they want. So guys that don't have that choice, they just basically go with whoever picks them. So the girl picks you. So it's kind of like, I don't know if you guys have ever been to a girly bar, but if you go in a girly bar, there'll always be an ugly girl at the door, and then she will glom onto you as soon as you walk in the door. And then she will be like, what do you call it? Like, she'll like focus on you, right? She's like, she's trying to, like, she knows you wouldn't pick her, right? So she's got to like get you right when you come in the door, and she hopes that you're kind of a weak guy who doesn't have the ability to say no, and then she'll be like all over you, but she'll be like the oldest one there, the ugliest one, and then you're just like, fuck, you're seeing all these hot ones, and you're like, now you've got her, and she's playing all the emotions against you, and you're like, fuck, why does this happen, and that's kind of like, it's the same kind of thing. It's the same kind of thing, is that when you're a pickup artist, you can say, okay, fuck this girl. I'm going to get a girl I like, right? I'm going to go with another girl. I'm not going to just go with any girl that picks me, right? When I was younger, that's what I used to do. Just girls would pick me, because girls tend to like me. So they just come up to me, and then all of a sudden I fucking had a girlfriend. Or even if I had a bunch, it still wasn't my choice. I couldn't just pick the ones I wanted, the ones that I liked, the ones I thought were pretty, the ones I thought that were my type, right? So I was always kind of in this miserable situation until I learned to pick up. Then there's pickup artists, but pickup artists, fuck, they all end up in the same situation. They all end up with one girl. All of them. I'm telling you. No, I know a lot of pickup artists. If they're good, they're going to go through many, many girls, and then they're going to overestimate their ability to handle one girl. Because handling 10 girls at once is very different than handling one. Very different. And it's a different thing, because 10 girls, you got the power. And their power does not reach you because you have choice. You can always walk away. You're like, oh, okay. This is not good. Okay, well, see you later. It's nice to meet you, and you're gone. And that takes all her power away, because her only power is keeping you around. So those guys lose in the end, because in the end, they kind of end up the same as the guys who date eventually. Although the difference is they do have more fun in the meantime, and they also have more confidence in themselves. If something goes wrong, they can always, make it work again, right? Whereas like a guy who doesn't have confidence, when he gets older, he's going to be severely lacking in confidence once the relationship ends, because he's going to be like, fuck, what do I do? I couldn't even do this when I was young. How am I going to do this now, right? So that's why I think that learning skills of this are very good for men, for all types of men, MGTOWs included. I think that you want to improve yourself as a man in every way, and there's so many aspects to a man to be a man. There's so many fucking important things, and you don't even understand them till you do them. You know what I mean? Like you have no idea what it's like to do something until you do it. And then that's when you learn. You're like, holy shit, man, I'm glad I did that. Holy fuck, I needed that. Just think of something like that in your life, right? You had no idea how important it was. And then you did it, and you're like, oh man, I almost didn't do that. Holy shit, So, okay, so then you have guys who live with girls. Well, living with girls, this is the biggest mistake that a man makes. And it happens, it's like, I've done it, twice? Yeah, twice. Twice I lived with a girl. And both times was a huge mistake. Huge mistake. Because then you've given up your power. You've given up everything. You've given up all your options. You just basically now, you're in the nest. You're in essentially for a man's, like I said, emotionally, girls are stronger. They're going to win. They're going to win. That's why escorts, girls that are escorting, they don't mind if they meet a rich guy and the guy treats them like shit, like makes them pick up money off the ground, or, like makes them fucking crawl across the ground or whatever the fuck. They don't care, because they know that if the guy stays with them, that they will eventually have the upper hand on that guy. So it's only temporary. So it's like, okay, I'll do this for now. But she knows that even if the guy's like president of a fucking huge company and he's super good shape and he's super smart, he's fucked tons of girls, he knows what he's doing, you know, he's got a good idea of himself as a man, he understands all the MGTOW concepts, it doesn't matter because she's going to win. She knows it eventually every man falls, okay? And girls know this, guys, so it's not like some big secret. The only ones that don't know it is guys, is that we are absolutely putting in their hands. So when you move in, this is your biggest mistake, because now you are in the den and it's 24 hours. It's always there. And I'm sure there's different levels of relationships, and some are definitely better than others. And there's going to be people with, there will be different kinds of people, right? Kind people, there'll be people with mental problems, there'll be psychotic. 1% of the population is actually psychotic, where they deliberately plan things that are going to hurt you. And it's like, whoa, how the fuck could anyone be like that? But they can. And the thing is you can't blame them, because that's the way they're born. You know, we are all born with what we're born with, right? You got what you got, I got what I got. What the fuck are we going to do, right? Trade them in, go to the fucking, you know, the pawn shop and fucking trade them in, trade this thing that you got for that, you know? And so what happens is, once you're in that trap, once you're there, and then marriage is just one more step down that road. And marriage is obviously the deepest, marriage and kids, where you're completely locked in and you have no more power. And in the old days, men used to get a lot of satisfaction from being married, because, you know, if you got married and then you had kids, they were your kids. You're going to raise them, you know what I mean? They're going to be with you until they're old. You know, that's just the way it is. But that definitely is not the way it is today. Now, you don't own anything as a guy. And if you think you do, you're out of your fucking mind. You don't own shit. And so the woman owns the kids, and also she has a massive emotional advantage over you. And again, boiling fucking frog in water, hot water, and it slowly starts to constrict around you. And it's very different, like I said, to be a man, to stand up and stand up for yourself. I mean, I know that some guys will say it's possible. I'm sure there's guys listening will be like, oh yeah, I do that all the time. I'm sure it is. It's possible. It's possible. It's also possible to swim with, you know, 3 or 4 bowling balls tied to your leg. I could do it. I'm a great swimmer. No problem. But there's a limit, right? How many bowling balls there could be before I'm going to get sucked under. And why would I do that? Unless I'm doing training for Marines or something, right? But other than that, why would I handicap myself? Why would I put myself in a difficult situation, right? I wouldn't. But the key point of this, you guys, see, this is all logical. Okay, now let's get to the real shit here. The real shit is, it ain't logical. Is when you get trapped, when the water heats up, is that what happens is you fall. You fucking fall down the black hole. And the black hole is like a hypnosis with one particular girl. So if I go to the store right now, there's going to be a lot of girls in there, right? And I can look at all of them and I can think to myself, some guy is insane about this girl. Some guy in the world, guaranteed, would go crazy if she saw her, you know, me stick my dick in her mouth, right? That'd be like, he would just go insane because it's that girl. Any other girl, he wouldn't care. So if I fuck a girl, whatever, you know, like I fucked a girl, that's great, you know. But if it's his girl and her mouth, the guy will go insane. It's a hypnosis is what it is. And women are very, very aware of this hypnosis. It's a dangerous motherfucking thing, this hypnosis, because it's not true. Like, it literally doesn't matter. You don't own anybody. You literally don't own, and everybody has the right to do what they want, and people do. So it's like, and it doesn't even influence you. Like, it doesn't have any effect on you. But somehow we get into this whirlwind of thinking that it's real. And then it's like this one person becomes so important, and what they do is so important. If this happened and if that happened, and then you start to backpedal and start to keep it going, even though you know it's not good, and then it just gets worse, and then the constriction gets tighter, and there's more things you're doing that you don't like, and you're doing more things, and then you're being treated badly, and like you're being, you know, demonized for things that were positive, like 2 months ago, and it's like, you just can't, it's like so confusing. You're just like, fuck, what do I do, And in that situation, there's two things that can happen. You can just go as deep as you want, or you can leave, right? The problem is, once you've got to this emotional level, once you've got down where I'm talking about, is you can't. You're totally incapable. And this is what Odysseus was. He knew he was incapable. If you don't know, then you're not as smart as Odysseus, I'll tell you. And so the only hope for you sometimes in life, and thank God that there is good in the world, like seriously, that you don't always you might have a weakness, but it doesn't always take you down, is that sometimes the lion opens the mouth and lets you out, even though you didn't even ask for it. You didn't want to be let out. In fact, when you got let out, you wanted to go back in. You were clamoring to go back in. You're like, oh, motherfucker, I got to get back in there, man. I got to get back in there, motherfucker. I gotta be like, man, I gotta get back in that fucking cage, man. And then it's like, no, the lion won't let you back in. And then you're like, fuck, I gotta get back in. Your brain is telling you, and you're like panicking because you've told everybody you've made this commitment. And then your emotions start to go as a guy, like a washing machine, And this is what I'm talking about. My friend that went into a 10-year depression, where basically ruined his career. It's a very dangerous situation. And what the problem with this too is, when you tell somebody about what happened to my friend, everybody will say the same thing. They will say, he's an idiot. He's weak, right? And I mean, there could be an argument for that. But at the same time, if you get, like I said, if you get in a street fight and someone punches you in the throat enough to crush your windpipe, starts banging your head against the concrete, you're going to die. So you are weak. And we all are weak. Everybody's weak. We're just weak for different things. So accept your weakness. Understand that you're weak. And understand that it's not about evil. It's not about good and bad. It's not like girls are this and guys are this. It's just you have to protect yourself. And so sometimes you can't. Sometimes you're so gone in an emotional spin cycle that it's impossible for you to protect yourself. So what can you do? Like you're almost like hopeless. Like life is like, it's got you by the balls and you don't know what to do. What can you do, and what happens in that case? Well, if you're lucky, if you're super, super lucky, is that you will be let out on your own. You'll be let out. Just let out. For whatever reason, the lion doesn't want you anymore, and you're like, you're out. And then of course, you want to get back in, right? That's the way it is, right? That's why you're there. You have this massive, massive desire. But if you, at that point, this is when you have to do the Odysseus thing. Strap yourself to the fucking mast. Because those first few weeks will be very difficult for you. You will go through insane emotions where you want to do everything that would make you get in trouble and make you make a mistake and even get arrested. You can be arrested for almost nothing these days. Like, it's so easy to get arrested for a guy. Just because you have the heinous crime of caring about somebody, right? But actually, it's not even really caring. It's really more like a hypnosis, actually. It really has nothing to do with the other person, really. It has a lot to do with your own mind, though. So there's some things you can do once you're out. So, in other words, if you're being held captive, you've been kidnapped and you've been held captive for ransom, and the captors, they are taking a break. Maybe it's Christmas. Maybe they're drinking. Maybe you have this one opportunity. It's the only one of the year, and you see an opportunity to run away. Everybody's drinking. Nobody's watching. You gotta go. You gotta go. You gotta run, man. Fucking run. Just get the fuck out. Just run. Goddamn run and run and run. And when you finally get to a safe place, that's when you have to tie yourself to the mast. If you don't tie yourself to the mast, I have no mercy for you. Because I'm telling you right now, your weakness with girls, I'm telling you, if you do this, you will survive. And you will learn and you will grow. And in the end, you come out of it like amazing. Like you come out of it like, fuck, whoa, like it's almost like a fucking rainbow of colors. You learn so much about yourself. You learn about everything, like your own abilities, your weaknesses, your strengths. You feel all these strong feelings. You really like, you learn things you never knew before. Because what I tend to do is I like to do a lot of writing. So when you're sitting there, you're tied on the mast, so you won't allow yourself to contact her. You're like, no more, nope, won't do it. Then you have to write a list. Write a list of everything of why that person was wrong for you. Okay, everything. You know, so maybe they didn't appreciate something. Maybe they didn't notice something. No one else is going to read this list, so it doesn't have to be logical. It doesn't have to, no, you don't have to explain anything to anybody. You know what you mean. And so when you write something, you just write whatever it is that really hurts you. You don't be embarrassed, because sometimes the biggest things don't matter. And it's the smallest fucking things. It's the smallest things, and you think that means a lot to you, right? You know, like for me, there's one thing with this girl in China, when she let me out, right? Twice I got let out of miserable situations. And with this girl, what happened was she just before I got out, she was talking to somebody, and she said, "Oh, Ronin hates cooking. He doesn't cook, you know." And I thought to myself, what the fuck, you know? I was like, this is like another fucking time zone. I'm in a time warp here, because I love cooking. I cook all the time. And I'm super proud of my cooking, even though I don't follow any recipes. I don't do it the way anybody else does it. I don't do it for taste. I do it for my health and for myself, as fast and as easy as I can. And I try to make stuff every day to keep myself healthy. And I love to cook. Now, other people might not consider it cooking, because it's not cooking like a recipe. It's not cooking like following the directions. It's not cooking like, you know, now I'm making fucking this or that. There's no name for my stuff. You know, sometimes there is, like I'm making a big pot of chili right now. I got a big pot of chili cooking right now back home. And so sometimes I do have a name, but a lot of times there's really no name for my food. And a lot of times I'm experimenting too. I don't even know what the fuck I'm making, you know? And then sometimes it comes out like shit, right? I just eat it anyway because it's healthy. And then I move on and I realize what I did wrong, and I think, what can I add to it? And then I make it again, right? But the thing is, what really bothered me was I realized I was living with somebody, because as I've gotten older, I've become quite the artist. Like I'm like the artist creative person, which is very different when I was young. I think it was inside me before, but I couldn't accept it. I thought it was kind of gay or something. I couldn't accept myself when I was young. I had to be the crazy guy, or, you know, I had all these different personas. But today, as I get older, I realize I'm the creative artist. I'm the lover. I'm the sensitive one. I'm the one who watches everything. I look at the eyes of the pets, you know? I just sit there and look at the eyes, and I communicate with them, you know? I feel them, you know, and they feel me. And I love it. I'm like dog whisperer, you know? And I love it. I love it. And I love to get deep into situations with people, you know? Someone's having a hard time, I'm like the best guy to talk to, because nothing scares me. Like, you know what I mean? Someone wants to commit suicide, fine, come on over, you know? You don't do it before you get here. You know? Because it doesn't scare me. Because I'm like, okay, we can go deep here, you know? This is savable, right? Here, I'm under this tree, so it's nice and cool here. I'll just finish up the video under here. Beautiful. I love these trees here. The whole smell of sage, it's Southern California. Fuck, I grew up here most of my youth with this kind of sound and smells. But so I realized about myself is that I am not the driven businessman who wants to make zillions of dollars anymore. I used to be like that, and I just don't really care anymore, you know? And the thing is the reason why a relationship can be so bad and so soul destroying and crushing is because the other person doesn't accept who you really are. Now, if you don't know who you are, it's different. If you're just like watching TV and you're just fucking, you know what I mean? You're just like whatever's on TV you talk about, and then Donald Trump and Obama and, you know, whatever the latest Rodinia thing. If that's you, then you don't really have a persona. You haven't figured out who you are yet. You're just kind of like floating along, you know, copying whatever people are feeding into you, right? But once you've done the hard work of like figure out where you are at a different phase in your life, when somebody doesn't appreciate that, it's super, I mean, there's no way you can stay with them. How can you spend your life with somebody who can't even see you and doesn't even appreciate who you are. You know, the other person is different. They need different things. They might want somebody who makes a lot of money, who's a hard worker. And that's great. That's what they want, right? But what they'll do is they'll pick somebody and then they'll try to make you into what they want, right? And then, but in the process of trying to make you into what they want, they have to destroy what you are. Because if you've decided who you are, if you know who you are, if you know yourself, then it's like, that's not just random thing. You created this, you discovered this, you evolved into this, right? Into this being that you are today. And destroying that is like destroying your very soul, you know? So I would say that what happens is when you go through this process, and right now I'm talking about when a woman lets you go. So you're stuck, you could never leave on your own, but you're unhappy. You're very unhappy. And then she lets you go. And you run and you run and you run and you don't look back, because it will never, ever happen again. It's over. You're completely on a new path now. It's a new road, and this road, who knows where it goes? But it's a new road, and you think about all the things you got. What do you have in your life? What have you made? What have you become? Who are you today? And it's really a beautiful chance to reinvent yourself and to further solidify that who you are today that I was talking about before. Because you've been let out of the situation where you slowly got influenced, slowly got, you know, and it could be malevolent too. You could be being abused too, where you're actually being abused. That definitely happens a lot to guys in relationships, where they're just like literally being like berated and made fun of, and like people will in public say stuff about them, and girls will deliberately try to make you feel bad. This definitely happens. And when it does, what happens is if you get used to this, is when you're in a relationship, is you are so fucked, because you're completely in the whirlwind of emotions. Now you've lost your pride, you've given away your independence, and now you're sitting here going, fuck, I did this, now I should do this, now I got to do this, you know. It's like one thing leads to another, you know. You've done one thing. It's kind of like when you're trying to talk someone into a sale. You get them to say yes in the beginning, right? And then they say yes to one thing, and then they say yes to another thing, and then another thing, and eventually they buy from you, right? So that's how the thing happens, is you slowly accept things that are unacceptable. It's the same with alcoholism. When you drink, you say, hey, you know, I'm not the kind of guy who would, you know, throw up, you know. You get drunk a little bit and you say, I'm not that kind of guy. And then you drink and you throw up, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess I am, you know. Or I guess that's okay. That's not a big deal, you know. And then you're like, I'm not the kind of guy who would like fall asleep outside, or I'm not the kind of guy who would like, you know, steal people's alcohol, you know, because I would always buy my own, you know. And then you're super drunk and you're like stumbling around looking at someone's fucking fridge for booze because you just need more booze, you know. And then you drink that, and then you're like, oh, I guess I'm not, you know, I'm not the kind of guy who would like do this. And then it's always like, they call them the yets. It's like one more yet, and you're like, oh man. And you fall and fall and fall and fall, and you can't see yourself. And then, like with AA, it's called a moment of clarity. And there's that moment of clarity where you can see yourself, man. Like it's all obvious. All of a sudden, man, it's like until now you couldn't see shit. You were totally blind. You're just all excuses, you know, and all just confusing emotions, you know. And then but then all of a sudden there's that moment of clarity. If you don't grab in that moment of clarity and say, wait a second, I'm fucked up. I'm drinking and I don't even know why. All these explanations I'm telling everybody, they don't make any sense. They're all lies. I just need to drink. And it doesn't make any sense. I don't understand. I wasn't like this before. How did this happen? What am I going to do? You have no idea. But you know, at that moment, if you accept that moment, that's when the massive change happens in your life. Because you're like, I have a serious problem, and I'm going to stop denying it, and I'm going to stop fucking being a dick to everybody. I'm going to go and ask for help. I'm going to humble myself and say, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I got here. I don't know why I'm like this. I tried so hard not to be. Doesn't make any fucking sense. And 6 months ago it was like this, and you know, you kind of let these last excuses out, and then you're like, okay, I need help. Please, what can I do? And you're open. So they tell you one thing, it doesn't work, you keep trying because you want it. You really, now you understand, like, my life has become something I don't want. And so now you gotta, you know, I want to try new things, and I realize you're not being like immature, like, oh my God, I didn't do it right away. No, you're like, okay, you know, I have become somebody I don't want to be, and I want to become something else, and I'm willing to go through whatever it takes. I'm willing to do the hard work. I'm disgusted with myself, basically, right? And I can see myself now. Now it's no longer lies, right? It just, and then when you go to a meeting, you talk about it. You say, hey, you know, holy shit, I did this, I drank this much, I passed out, everybody laughed at me, you know, in the elevator in my house, and blah, blah, blah. And then our apartment building, and then my kids found me, and some guy fell asleep with his pants down outside, you know, woke up with some kids pulling it up, you know, just shit like that. You hear stories in AA all the time. And everybody laughs, and everybody has a lot of camaraderie. And I really think that that's what MGTOW is for guys in relationships. You know, I'm not saying that nothing can ever work. I'm just saying that most situations are totally miserable, and it's so hard to get out of them. So when you're sitting there, it's New Year's Eve and Christmas, and everybody's drinking, your captors are sleeping, and you see a chance to run, or even if they throw you out, right? Because they might come back and try to get you later. You got to run. You got to go. You got to go. And then you got to tie yourself to the mast, and then you got to figure it out. You got to tie yourself to the mast. Do not go back, right? The reason why you don't go back is because you need time. It's not macho. You need time to figure out what happened, because it's going to be a mess of emotions in your mind. And you won't be like, oh, this is so clear. I did this, and she did this, and then I compromised here, and then I did this, and she said this mean thing, which really made me feel sad. And when you're going through this process, you're going to have to be honest with yourself. So don't think, oh, I'm above this, I wasn't hurt by that, or that couldn't hurt me, or whatever the fuck. You're like, nope. This is my one chance here to get out of here. The only way I can get out is if I'm honest with myself, and if I see my situation for what it is. And that's all you're trying to do. Essentially, you're not even trying to leave at this point. You're just trying to see. You're not even thinking about, well, should I go back or not? You're just like, you're trying to figure out your situation. But what happens is, every time, is that you realize that it was way worse than you thought. And that you couldn't even like process it, or maybe it was like your pride was too much to come to grips with how bad it really was. You know, like in Rick's interview, he talked about it, how bad it got for him, you know, like, I don't want to say his details because you can listen to the episode, but you know, he just like, it just got worse and worse and worse. And like, he just like couldn't know how to stop it. He's like, oh no, it's worse and worse, and it's happening, and it's crushing, and no one cares, and fuck, you know, and then he went down all the way down the rabbit hole, and then he picked himself up, totally became a new person, ended up with his own kids, and he's living a very good life now, and he came out stronger. So these situations are nothing to be afraid of. They're nothing to be embarrassed of. Every guy on this channel is gonna have this in your life. I don't fucking care. You could be incel, you could be whatever the fuck you are, but you are weak for women, and there's gonna be a woman that's gonna snare you somehow. It's gonna fucking happen. And when she does, the clamps come on, it gets tighter and tighter, tighter and tighter. You start doing more and more things you don't want to do. You know, you can't blame that on anybody else except yourself, right? It's your own weakness, right? So don't blame it on anybody else. Just accept that you did that. You have a weakness, right? It's not everything is everybody else's fault, guys. It's our own fault. It's our own weakness. And that's okay. It's okay not to be perfect, guys. It's okay. It's totally fine. You know, if you're perfect, then you're lying. So that's actually not perfect. So you know, so there you go. That's the process for getting out of a situation that is impossible to get out of, because the captors will always fall asleep at some point. There will always be a break for you to run. And when you see that, you have to see it for what it is, and you have to say, "Oh my God, once more, there's a God. There's a God in this world. There's a God of freedom. You know, there's a God of happiness that allows me to strap myself to the fucking mast, to go by the sirens, to enjoy the excitement of that, you know, and then pew, to be free again." you know. And maybe at some point I won't want to strap myself to the mast anymore, you know. That's possible. But until now, I got plenty of fucking piss and vinegar, and I'm always, I'm always excited about strapping myself to the mast again. Not always like living together or something like that, but you know, just some way, some fucking challenge. I'm always looking for some fucking new challenge, right? And one of my challenges now is creating awesome content that blows people away. And I hope this was something like that for you. It's very meaningful for me, guys. And I appreciate you guys listening. I really do. This episode in particular, every guy listening, I just want to thank you. You know, really give you a fucking hug, say thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of this journey, because I cannot do this shit alone. No way. And I can't do it without guys that are not in the same mindset. So I'm looking forward to the next World Conference, wherever that kind of does. I haven't really decided, but I'm still working on Unblackmailable. Sorry I've been so late on that. But there's good reasons for that. So I will let you know why. And it's going to be even better. All right, guys. Have a good one. Ronin Man signing off. I got to go eat my chili. All right. If you haven't subscribed, click the subscribe button and share this content if you think this stuff is good, if it helped you. I really appreciate it. All right. Take it easy.